Cause you never know what tomorrow brings in this crazy life. Hey, this life, this life, this life.
What's going on, guys? It's Barba223. I'm back with another video, and honestly, I'm in a great mood today. And it's because of you guys, you viewers. You guys have been doing a great job of running up my numbers, and honestly, I cannot appreciate you guys more. This is amazing. I'm really at a loss for words. I did not expect this. I'm glad you guys like my content, and since you guys really enjoyed my last video, we did tier lists for the classes in the game of ESO, right? So today we're going to do the mythic items because I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, are mythic items worth buying for the DLCs, or is ESO Plus worth it? Blah blah blah. I totally understand your points. So let's give a tier list and I'll tell you which ones I think are worth doing, right? So obviously, again, just like the other video, we have an S tier, an A tier, a B tier, a C tier, and a D tier. And here at the bottom, here are the mythics. If you don't know which one's which, I'll tell you. Malacath brand of Brutality, which gives 25% damage bonus, but you cannot crit. This one is, honestly, I don't know how to say it, but it's called El Nofi. And this is also a neck piece, I believe. But when you heal when you're low on your primary resource, you get 5 ultimate. So using a healing ability at low resource, you get 5 ultimate. This one is Pale Water. When you deal damage, you heal for 18% of the damage you're doing. But you cannot be healed from other people, only yourself. Pretty cool. This one is Ring of the Wild Hunt. You get 15% movement speed at all times, but it comes with a haste trait, so you get an extra 7% if you don't change it. Pretty cool too. This is Tonal Constancy. When one of your resources are under 50%, the other one gets 450 recovery, and this can be both of them at the same time for magic and stamina. So this can be a really nice thing for sustain. It's a neck piece also. This is Bloodlord's Embrace. I believe when you bash an enemy, you put a curse on them, and when you block an attack from that person that you bashed, you receive 1500 magic. So that's pretty cool too. I believe this is a heavy armor piece. I'm not positive. I know it's a chest piece, but these are Snow Treaders. You're going to be immune to snares and mobilizations or anything that slows you that isn't a hard CC. So things like Fossilize or Flame Clench, those will not count. But things like Talons from DKs, the two-handed Gap Closer won't slow you anymore. So that's really nice. And this one is Thrassian Stranglers. When you deal damage or when you get a kill, you get 135 weapon and spell damage, I believe, but you lose 1,000 max health, or what is it? Yeah, you lose 1,000 max health. So yeah, let's do it. So like last video, we started with the S tier, but we're going to do something different this time. We're just going to go in order from right to left here. We're going to start with Thrassian Stranglers. This one's a bit interesting because I've seen a lot of videos where people have made this this one-piece set be insane, because if you get a kill, you can get, like, if you get kills and don't die, you get that spell damage for an hour, right? You get that damage for an hour. So the only problem with this is if you travel, or if you like queue into, I think, a BG or Imperial City or Cyrodiil, it goes away, which kind of sucks. So if you change where you're at, it goes away, which I don't like. So it kind of ruins it, in my opinion, because it could be good if you make a high health build and you run a finisher on your bar and you get a finish, and then you still have high health, but you maintain that damage. So it is a cool set, and I'd like to use it and make a theory craft with it. But to be honest, it's kind of impossible because you can't even travel. Like, I don't think you can go into a BG and like keep your slowed or your slowed embrace. So for that reason, I'm going to go with C. It's cool, but I don't know if it's worth doing. It's really tough to get a bunch of kills. It's really like, you might as well just run Clever Alchemist or Julianos or New Moons and get that damage at all times rather than having to wear this and worry about it. But it's interesting. I've seen cool builds with it. So next we're going to go with Snow Treaders. Again, this makes you immune to snares and immobilizations that are cleansable. So things like gap closers, anything that lowers your movement speed at all. So any DK move essentially, anything that puts that little white circle under your guy, like a snare, you'll be immune to. Just not immune to hard CCs, so keep that in mind. I used to use Snow Treaders on my Magic DK, and I will tell you, it is pretty beast. This was before Malacath came out, though. So, it is good for certain builds. I think it excels on Nightblades. I think it excels on Magic DKs. I think it's good on any build that doesn't have movement. So even a Magic Necromancer I think could be good, but the only thing with them is they have a cleanse. So there might not be a reason to use it for them. Same thing with Templar. They also have a cleanse, so it might not be worth it. But like Magic DK, any Nightblade, even Stam DK could be really good with this. It's really important to have speed. And when you're snared, you can just get melted down by people, and it's not fun. Being immune to snares is going to make you be able to line of sight better. It's going to make you not have to cleanse. It's one less thing to cleanse, right? So, for example, the Necromancer cleanse or the Templar cleanse. Purifying Light. I'm sorry, not Purifying Light. Purify will cleanse 5 negative effects from yourself, right? So, let's say you have 6 negative effects, and one of them is a snare. Then bang, you still have 1 on you. But if you have Snow Treaders, you'll only have 5 on you, and all of them will be cleansed. I hope you guys understand. Sorry, that was a little confusing, but I hope you get what I'm saying. For this, I'm going to go B tier. I think they're good. They're not as good as they used to be. And they're only B. I think they could be A. They could be A for certain builds, right? But for some builds, they're also like C or D because they're not needed. And fast classes don't need it especially. But I think they're pretty good for certain builds. They're good in a certain market, so I like that. Now we're gonna go Bloodlord's Embrace. I'm gonna put this one in. I'm gonna put this one in C. And the main reason I'm doing that is because I don't think this is usable very often. And the main reason I say that is because it's cool that, like, I'll show you. So, being able to get a bunch of magic back every second when you're blocking is nice, right? That's fine, and in theory that's good. But when you're in PvP and you're fighting, especially when you're outnumbered, you can't just sit there and block. And like you can get like magic. Like let's say, for example, you're fighting 1v4, and you see the meteor under your guy, and you know you're about to get hit with a meteor, right? Most of us are going to use our block real quick, block the meteor, and keep fighting. And that's a great thing because you'll be able to get 1500 magic back from blocking, which is awesome. You're essentially trading stamina for magic. But you have to bash people, so if you're a ranged build, it's not going to work. If you're worried about bashing and not worried about fighting, you're going to die. And honestly, I don't see this being used on any builds besides a tank. Being a tank is really good. If you're a tank, A tier. If you're not a tank, C tier. Not very good. Still, it's cool. I like it. I mean, I don't think it's worth getting a DLC for, but it's pretty interesting to say the least. So now we're going to move on to Tonal Constancy. And I'm going to go A tier with this. Tonal Constancy is incredible, in my opinion. I think if you play Nightblade, this is going to be very, very important, especially Stamina Nightblade. Because if you're playing Stam Nightblade, you don't have a lot of magic, but you're going to be using a lot of magic to go invisible. And there's a lot of times when you're low on magic, so you're essentially just boosting your recovery by insane amounts, just for playing, right? And that's the thing I really value in ESO is when there's sets that benefit you from just playing the game however you want. So that's what I really like, is that it's not something that you have to worry about proccing. It's not something you have to worry about stressing about. It's just going to be there when you need it. It's just going to work for you when it works for you, right? And that's what I really like about it. I think this meta is more worried about doing damage than it is about sustain, so that's why it's not S tier. But I do think it's nice. It's something to definitely think about using. It could be good on. I think it's more useful on stamina builds, only because magic is where you get your major, like your buffs from, like your armor buff and all that, for the most part, except for Stamina Templar. So like Magic DK, you're using Igneous Shields and Volatile Armor, and you're going to be out of magic pretty often, right? You're using Cauterize, so Tonal Constancy is going to come in. Stam Nightblade, going invisible, you'll be low on magic a lot, vice versa. So it could be good on magic builds as well, just because if you roll dodge, you're going to get a lot of magic back and you'll be able to heal more. So I think that's really useful too, like if you use a roll dodging build on. So I think this could be better next update because roll dodging is going to take a nice big part of light armor. So you'll be getting a lot of magic recovery for roll dodging just because you're low. So it could save your life at times, but it is very good. I think people sleep on it. It's pretty good. So next we're going to Ring of the Wild Hunt, and honestly I'm going to put this S tier. The reason I put this S tier is because movement speed is probably the most valuable tankiness in the game, in my opinion. I know it sounds crazy. It doesn't give you any tankiness, technically. But I'm telling you, if you're fast, you won't die as much. It's that simple. If you're in a fight, like, alright, I'll give you an example. So I play Magic DK, right? And I run Daedric Trickery on my back bar. So you get one of the 5 major buffs. And if I run Wild Hunt with it, if I get Major Expedition to proc, which I'll get for 21 seconds, and then I have Wild Hunt on top of that, I'm getting 21%, 22% from Wild Hunt, and I'm getting 30% from Major Expedition. So this stacks on Major Expedition. You're getting over 50% movement speed on the DK, a class that runs around destroying people 1v1. It's going to be insane, right? So mobile. Being mobile is king. That's why Sork is so good, that's why Warden is so good, and that's why everyone runs Race Against Time. They roll dodge with the bow to get Major Expedition. It's just so good. If you can create distance from people when you're in trouble, you're going to be golden, and that's what Wild Hunt does for you at all times. It's never away, it's up at all times. You almost have Major Expedition, always, and that cannot be valued high enough in PvP. It's so nice, and if you play on a Magic Nightblade, guys, and you run Wild Hunt, and you have haste on your jewelry, you're going to be fast, man. And especially in stealth. If you have concealed weapon too, you're going to be a fast dude. So, I like this one here. Next we're going to run Pale Order. This one, I'm going to go B. And I think this is next patch. If they, I'll be honest, it's bugged right now. It could be A tier, but it's not. It's B tier. If you're a solo player, this is solid. But the healing you get isn't worth the damage you take off from not having Malacath. So, it's 18% from what the damage you do, but it's really not. It's more like, I don't know. It's just, like, I'll lava whip someone or I'll stab someone with puncturing sweep, and it just doesn't heal me enough. But I will say the reason I mentioned those two classes is because I think it's best on them. On Templar and DK, and I only say that because Lava Whip's a heal, so it's going to heal you on top of Pale Order, which is really nice. And then Templar, when you're puncturing sweet people, it heals you, and then Pale Order's going to heal you on top of that. So I think that's really nice. That's why I think Magic Nightblade could be solid as well. And on top of that, I think Sork, Magic Sork specifically, can excel just because they run damage shields, right? So they don't have a lot of healing power, for example, but if they have shields and you use Pale Order, you're gonna be getting heals that aren't combated, right? And that's the big thing with healing, is that a lot of times when you're healing, it's combated with damage, so its healing is lower, right? So if you have shields, it's covering up your health bar, meaning you're getting free heals. That's how I think of it. It's the same thing with health recovery. I think that's really awesome. But they need to fix it. It's not good enough yet, especially not being able to get heals from other people. If you run a small group, this is pointless. Because if you have a healer, it's ruining everything. But if you play solo, it could be worth it. I think it needs more of an update. I'm gonna keep testing this, so I think it could be good. You have to find the right build though. So this, the Elphony, I think it's called. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Please correct me if you need to. But this one is whenever you cast a healing ability while in combat, your dominant resource is low. You get 5 ult. Right? This is a healer ability. It's that simple. It's not going to be utilized in PvP. It's going to be utilized in PvE for the most part. It's good. It's cool, right? Whatever. It's good in PvE, not good in PvP. Because if you're low on resources, you're not going to be spamming heals that often, right? Because you're going to be worried about getting away and getting your resources back up. You're not going to be sitting there spamming heals. 5 ultimate, 1 out of a million skills is not worth it. You can use any other one of these and they'll be better. And it'd be better to even just use a piece of trainee than to run this thing, I'll be honest. So, yeah, I would do that. Next, we're going to run Pale Order. This one is whenever you cast a healing ability while in combat, your dominant resource is low. You get 5 ult. yeah, it's, not everything can be great. So if it comes down to you really wanting this, I just wouldn't buy a DLC for this. If you have ESO Plus, sure, why not? What the heck, go for it. But so if any of you use this, I apologize. It's just I don't really think it's any good. But yeah, and number one, as most of you could have expected, drumroll please, Malacath Band of Brutality. No surprise, right? We all know what Malacath does. Gives you 25% damage at all times. You can't crit. Who cares about crit anymore, right? This is why it's so good. And the reason Malacath is so good right now, and it's really plain and simple, proc sets. Malacath buffs proc sets. I mentioned this in one of my past videos about how they can fix procs. I said that Malacath shouldn't buff dots and it shouldn't buff procs, and I still believe that. But it's the best because you can run heavy armor and still be a beast doing damage. You can run light armor and not have to run mage light or a crit bonus, and you can still do damage, right? You get the penetration, but you don't have to crit. Most people run impen, which is crit resistance, so having Malacath makes that pointless. It just makes it great. Malacath can bring your build from okay to incredible. If you can pay money to buy the DLC or ESO Plus just to get Malacath and none of these other ones, I would do it. It's so good. And if they make crits, and next update, crits are going to be even more pointless. So Malacath is going to be king. As long as proc sets are in the game, Malacath is king of all mythics. Trust me. It's good. Like, it's just so good. Yeah. I think this tier list is pretty solid. So again, I'll tell you what each one is. Malacath, as we talked about. Ring of the Wild Hunt, movement speed, tonal constancy, recovery, snow treaders, immune to snares and immobilizations. Pale Order, you heal for 18% of all damage you do. Bloodlord's Embrace, you restore 1500 magic for blocking someone that you bash. Thrassian Stranglers, you get 23 spell damage and weapon damage for killing someone, but you lose max health. And the Aphony piece is when your dominant resource is low, you gain 5 ultimate for using a heal. So that's all the mythics. And I'll just make it, I think this tier list is solid. Of course, every class has different mythics that are better than others. So I think all of these could be, depends on your build, right? They could be changed a tier or two, but I think Malacath stays at the top regardless, and it won't change. This won't change for a while until crits make a comeback or they nerf heavy armor. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have. I want to stress how important it is that you like, comment, and subscribe. I really, really appreciate you guys showing me love on the channel. It's growing, and I love to see it. I really love talking to you guys. So, like, please keep commenting, keep liking it, keep up the work, man. I love it. I love it. I want to keep updating a bunch of my content. I'm going to post every day. Stay tuned, because if you have requests for types of videos you want to see, I'll do it. I'm down. I'll do any video you want to see. So, yeah, I'm glad to do this video too. I've had a few people ask me about it. So, yeah. But again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And, yeah, have a good one, guys. Thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you guys about this one. See ya.